So guys, how is everyone? How was your weekend?
Hi Harish, it is good. Thank you.
Okay. So have you guys had a chance to work on assignments? Guys, have you guys had a chance to work on your assignments by any chance?
Yes, Harish.
Thank you, Sean.
Yes, Harish.
So do you guys have any questions?
I have one.
Sure.
So, should I start now or in the meanwhile in the session or after the session?
We will see that. But I want answers from everybody because I'm hearing only two voices here. So how about others?
Hi Harish.
Hey Ramlal.
Uh, I set up Saturday and Sunday on my setup only, so
Okay.
I'm not get that much chance to get. But today I'm ready to everything.
Okay.
So tomorrow I will update you. Good news.
Sure. So how about other folks? You guys facing any issues while setting up, or do you guys having any issues while creating a Spring project or running it? Are you guys busy with your work? You didn't get a chance to work on the assignments. Well, that's okay. But anyway, you guys has to complete the assignments, right? Please find some time to do that. And Shahan, before starting today's session, we can see the issue what you are facing right now.
Yeah, sure, sir. Give me some time. Actually, I've connected with my phone, so I need to connect with my laptop as well. Yeah. Yeah, Harish. May I share the screen?
Yes.
Can you see it?
No, I can't see it yet. Now I can see.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a Spring Boot project or is it normal project?
No. It is a normal project. I was working on delete edited feature.
Okay.
So delete is working, but edit is not working. I don't know why. Let's see. Suppose I'm editing this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Clear the logs. Clear the logs.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now see, it is not updating because it is returning 0, and I
Let's
have
quickly have a look at
edited
the
this.
query.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So This is the
Okay. Update truck underscore detail set VIN number. Oh, why are you going with this kind of query? Why can't you write the prepared statement which we discussed by passing the objects and everything?
like this.
Yes.
I thought it should work like this because we are updating, right? So we will be getting the data from the arguments we passed.
Yes, Shahan, but it is also prepared statement, right? So why
Yeah.
don't we go in that way? Can you quickly do the change?
Okay.
Because maintenance equal to 0, license, truck details, truck license. Okay, let's try in that way and we'll see. But in the meantime, have you verified your database whether it is getting updated or not?
With this query, it is, I think, updated.
So, but the return statement is 0.
Yes.
That is weird.
Okay. I'll do that in the break time.
Okay.
Then we can discuss, right?
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. If you stop sharing, I'll start sharing from my side.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
So guys, before starting today's session, do you guys have any questions? Any concerns, any questions? Right. Okay, let's do a quick recap on what we discussed about REST services and the annotations which we used in Spring Boot. And then we will talk about the different messaging formats. Okay, I want everybody's participation today, please. Right. Can somebody tell me the annotations and their usages, what we discussed in the previous session? If you guys want me to start, I can start. At the rate REST controller. Can somebody tell me why we need REST controller?
Yeah, to tell the Spring that it is going to handle the risk kind of thing.
Okay, to indicate that it is going to handle REST services or REST requests. Right. Any other annotations which we learned, which we saw?
Request mapping.
Perfect. Request mapping.
It is used to provide routing information.
Perfect. To provide handler information or to handle the events, to handle the messages, or to handle the incoming requests. Perfect. Right. Next, please.
Path param.
At the rate path param. Right. And what will it do?
Extract the value from request URL.
Extracts the path variable. Right. Anything else?
Request param.
At the rate request param. Yes, please. What it will do? Why
Yeah,
do we need
same
at the rate
thing.
request
It
param?
will also do extra. Same thing.
To get the variables related to whatever we are passing in the as a query params, right? information which we are passing in the URL. Right. Any other annotations which we learned?
At
@request
the
headers.
request body.
Yeah, @request headers
For the validation purpose.
to get the header details. Right. Next, please.
At the request body.
@request body. Right. To get the message or body from the entire request. Next, please.
@get mappings.
@get mappings. Perfect.
To get the resource.
Okay. Get the resource.
@post mapping. To create the resource.
Yep. To create a resource.
And put for update. Put mapping for update the resource.
Mapping to update a resource. Right.
@delete for delete the resource. Delete a resource.
Delete mapping
Yes. @delete mapping.
to delete a resource.
And patch mapping for update the particular part of the resource.
To update a resource with limited information. Yes.
You update the part of the yeah, okay.
Yeah, just a part. We are not replacing the entire resource. We are just updating. This is replace. Right. Anything else? Now, any other concepts, not only related to these annotations, any other concepts which we learned?
Response anything?
Sorry, I can't hear you. Is it response entity?
Response entity.
Perfect. That's a good one. Right. What did it do? It carries the entire response, including the response body. If there is any status code, it will be carrying the status code. If you need any response headers, it will be carrying the response headers as well. So it is a complete response format. Okay, anything else? How can I
HTTP codes, different type of the codes like
HTTP
information response redirectional
status
client
code?
server.
Perfect. Right. Next, please. So how can I specify a request handler to handle a get mapping which accepts only JSON data?
We can say consumes in the pair.
Perfect. Consumes. Right. So how can I specify that I am going to produce a JSON data?
Produce
Media type
application.
of
Produces. Right. Anything else? Anything else which we discussed? Okay. There are some couple of topics which we couldn't discuss in the previous session, which we will be continuing with today. And later point of time, we will see testing. I mean, like the unit testing, unit test cases, how to write unit test cases, and we'll start with the JPA. Sounds good?
yes.
Right. Now let's see. Earlier, we saw only the message format in JSON. Let's say if I want to, there is a requirement that I have to send the message format in the XML, and at the same time I have to accept the XML message format. So how can I do that? Let's see. Okay, for that purpose, we will use JAXB. We can use JAXB or Jackson. Okay, these two are different libraries. From Java 9 onwards, JAXB is not inbuilt feature. You need to explicitly include them. Okay, but in our training here, we will be using Jackson. I'll be sharing the dependency details. Just give me a minute. Let me find the appropriate dependency. Okay, I'll be using it in our truck. It's taking time, guys. It's not responding. Okay. Don't need that. I'll be using this truck maintenance and my phone.xml. So this is the dependency which I'll be using. This one right over here. I'm using this for translating the message which I'm going to receive into XML format. At the same time, while sending back, I'll be translating it into XML format. Okay, for that purpose, we can use Jackson data format.xml or JAXB. Okay, there is a concept called, you can include as a dependency JAXB. Now, for this purpose, we may need to learn about some of the other properties as well. Okay, other annotations as well. Let me quickly close everything here. Let's go to our beans right over here. Perfect. Now, since we are sending the message format in the JSON, so we don't have to do that. Our REST API will handle everything for us. Now, the message format has been changed. The requirement is to send in the XML format. So how can I specify my bean to behave in the XML format? Simply, I can use direct Jackson element, JACKSON. Why is it not loading? Okay. Jackson XML root element. So that means whenever I try to get this truck details as my response body, this will be my root element for this truck details information. Okay. So what can I do? My local name for this. So can we name it truck details, right? Truck details, and everything else I need to specify them as XML elements. Okay. So how can I do that? Direct Jackson JACK. So I can use this Jackson property to specify these are all belongs to this Jackson root element like that. Now I'll be copy pasting everywhere. Sometimes if you want, you can make them as attributes as well inside. Let's say if I want to truck license as an attribute, I can do that as well. But here we'll be taking everything as an independent element. Right. Now my bean is ready to be exported as XML. But is there anything else which I need to do? Yes, when we go to this search API, where we are returning our truck details as an XML, so sorry, as a JSON, I need to change that. Let's say all I have to do is Simple. Application XML value. That's all. Okay, guys. Any questions on that? Anyway, we will see the execution. But before going to execution, do you guys have any questions in this on this? Okay, let's quickly go to execution and let's see. Okay. Guys, just for our your information again, I'll be telling you one more time how we are going to respond in the XML format. Okay. For that purpose, either we can use two different dependencies. One using Jackson, the second one using JaxB. Okay. For our tutorial, for this purpose, we will be using Jackson. Right. After that, what we did, we came here to our beans file, and I'm specifying the root element here just because our beans file has to respond in a JSON format. At the same time, when we are getting the XML format, we need to convert this XML message into our bean file. So for that purpose, we are specifying these elements here. I mean, like the annotations here. For example, to take the struct details as a root element, I need to use this Jackson XML root element. And if you remember properly our previous discussion, all the XML elements will have a root element. Under that, we will be having sub elements, right? So here I'm specifying these are tags inside the root element, like win number, truck license, and of course, if you these will come as same exact the name what you are providing here. Okay. So any questions on that? Right. After that, I'm just changing, I'm telling my get mapping, instead of producing a JSON value, produce an XML value here, and that's all. So any questions? Right, let's quickly execute it. Okay, mvn spring-boot :run. Okay, started in 8877. 887. So let's see, truck license plate. For that purpose, I'll just quickly look up on our table to get a truck license plate. Okay. Okay, is there any, let me quickly have a look at the context path. So we have a context path here. That's why it is throwing 404 exception. Okay, again, I did something wrong with our search API. Search, I missed search.
Search will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I missed search. Sorry, guys. Okay. Seems like there is some issue with the internal server. Let's quickly go and fix it. Right. Select TD star from LM underscore from truck underscore details login master. Okay. Let's quickly have a look at the exception and we'll fix it. LM username in field list. So it can find what is my username. What did it change? So it's user underscore name. Something has changed. So let's go to our DAO and let's fix it. Select get truck by license. So I wrote everything here as strict and row mapper details being row mapper. Okay, I may have to write independently. Excuse me guys, sorry for that. Let's me look at this exception again one more time. Okay, where is it failing? Truck DAO IMPL line number 67. Line number 67. So here implementation. So it is user underscore name. Okay, now that should fix our issue. Okay. No, we still have that issue. Somewhere we are still taking username.
Harish,
Yes,
in the select query itself, you are taking lm dot username.
perfect. So here as well.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Okay, quickly have a look again here, right? Underscore username. That's where. Anywhere else? Did you guys observe anything else here? Like with user, capital N name? Okay, I don't think we have anything else here. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now it's coming as empty list. Anyway, it's coming as XML guys, but we'll fix it. So any questions on that? Questions guys, no questions? Okay.
No, Harish.
Right, let's see why it's coming as, so headers are coming as license number is AB03HX009. What is my license number here? Okay, and let's quickly execute the query which we are executing there and we'll see why it's failing. So what is my username I'm passing there, by the way? Truck details, let's come to your search query. So here, oh, I need to pass username in my headers guys. We are not passing that, that's why we're getting empty list, right? Because I'm getting the
Yes,
username in the headers. So let's use
Postman.
Postman.
Yes.
Perfect. Let's use Postman. Oh, why are you not responding? Cool. Okay, there are so many gets. Headers, username, that is Harish. Send it. Something changed. Okay, let me quickly kill and rerun it. Okay, still empty list. So there is something wrong with our either username or the query which we are trying to execute. Something has changed. What is my username here? So Harish, I'm sending Harish, perfect. Okay, let's get that query here and let's execute and let's find out what is wrong. Implementation, getting username. Okay, retrieve implementation. Okay, I have that query somewhere. Anyway, it's a good learning for our debugging purpose, guys. Okay, now let's quickly pass the username here. So it is Harish and our truck license here. So that is, let me get it from here. Okay. You have an error in the syntax, check manuals. There's something quote. Perfect. Now there is no error. Right. So we don't have data with this Harish username. So that means there exists no data in the table. Right. That explains why we are not getting anything. I asked it from user underscore truck underscore master. Okay, 007. Let's use 007. Okay, we will get it. Now we'll use 007. So I've been playing with my data, guys. Sorry for that. So that's why we don't have any data here. Now we can get that. So any questions on that? Cool. No questions. Similarly, we can post a XML and we can receive an XML. Let's see that how we can do that. Right. Let's come to search API. Here, all you have to do is find appropriate post mapping. So it's in the truck details API, right? Instead of consumes JSON value, all you have to do is application.xml. Sorry, XML value. Application autumn XML value, and that's all. So it will handle everything for you. Okay. So any questions on that, guys? No questions.
No, Harish.
Right? Any questions? No questions? Okay, moving forward in our session. So how many of you guys worked with JUnit test cases, or how many of you guys know what is JUnit and what is the need for it? Okay, if you guys want me to explain, I can start from the scratch, starting from the beginning. I'll walk you through what exactly is in JUnit test case and what is the need for it, and how are we going to implement these unit test cases in our project. Guys, yes, no, you guys need information, or you guys are aware of JUnit test cases?
Yes, we need information.
Okay, so you need information. Sure, I'll start from the basics then. Okay, let's see what is JUnit test cases. JUnit, or basically it's not JUnit test cases, it is unit test cases. Right. First of all, what is meant by testing, guys? How many of you know what is testing? I need a definition from you. Anybody? Anyone? A single liner will do.
To check whether the functionality is working as expected or not.
Perfect. Testing is something. Testing is to check the functionality of you. NCTIONALITY functionality to verify whatever we developed is working as expected and also meeting the requirements. That means if I expected something to work, let's say if I want 10 records, for example, if you are giving 9 records, that is not meeting my records, it's meeting my expectations, right? Even though it is functionally correct. So now let's see, this is normal testing. Now let's see what is unit testing. So it is not, in other words, we can tell this is a testing which will be done by developers, not the actual QA team. So what do I mean by the developers doing the testing, right? So whenever you write some code, right, it is a developer testing, right? So whenever you write code, how do you test? Basically you need to execute and you need to test it, right? Test the functionality or it is working or not. So as a developer, we all have a habit of testing only positive scenarios. So how about the negative scenarios? So being a developer myself, I always believe that my code works perfectly fine, even though whatever you enter. That is my assumption, right? But here in unit testing, what we have to do is we need to prove that. How can I prove that it is working for all the scenarios which we expected, right? To prove our code is working for all the expected scenarios, right? So is it possible for you to test every time when you change something in entire code? Let's say, for example, you have thousands of classes, like 1,000 classes, maybe more than that. Okay, and let's say I'm a fresher, I just joined, I don't know the full functionality of the application, right? I've been asked to work on some functionality where I have to read data from database and I need to do some manipulations before sending to the front end. Let's say I want to filter based on a particular student ID, okay, or based on particular student year. For example, let's consider a student management application, and it has been already developed. I came as a fresher and I don't know what is the functionality. So there are some 1,000 classes which is working all together. Now they ask me to modify the existing functionality, right? So right, existing the modify functionality, and I did the changes, right, and it is working fine. But my changes may break some other code as well, because I don't know what is happening, right? Because I will be changing the same common variable, same common functions. So how do we catch that kind of scenarios? If it is very hard for a developer to test all the uh, application functionalities every time when you change a single liner or a single variable or a single function, because we never know what kind of dependency we have in all the other methods, all the other implementations, right? So if we have tests in place, it is easier for us to catch the error, right? How? So if we have a unit test case, if I change something, obviously whatever the scenarios which it has an impact on, all these scenarios will fail. So that like that we'll get to know the if there is any impact on the code change what we did, for the code change what we did. Okay. So any questions on that, guys? So this is one example, right? Next one, before going to the next one, if you have any questions on unit test cases, this is the time to ask and we'll clarify here. No questions? Right. Now, again, I'm telling, we cannot test as a developer when you are developing code, you cannot test all the functionalities because you may not know the flow of the application. You may know very limited flows, or you may have very limited information, very limited knowledge about the application, right? So to catching the errors, to exceptions or misplaced functionalities at the earlier stage for a developer, it will be easier. And again, to prove our to prove our code it is working as expected, like 100%, so we will write unit test cases. And moreover, we'll be writing a test case to cover all the scenarios, and all the scenarios in the sense like positive scenario, negative scenario, and also the equal scenario. There will be 3, right? So we'll be doing all those things. Now, what are all the, everything is fine. Okay, everything is fine. How can I do that? What are all the technologies available? What are all the frameworks available? So if you speak about the frameworks, we have JUnit in Java, and we will be using of Mockito. I'll speak about Mockito. Mockito, right? Will be, and there are some other frameworks like TestNG and so on. But for this testing purpose, for this JUnit testing purpose, or for this tutorial only, we'll be using JUnit test cases. Okay, JUnit is a framework which will provide some inbuilt classes to test our application, okay, by using the unit test cases. And why do we call it as a unit test cases? Because we will be testing the units or independent blocks of our program. So what do I mean by that? Right, as a developer, any developer, right, it is not recommended to write the entire application in a single block, single piece of code, a single method, right? So you will be dividing your each and every functionality. In fact, even the functionality will be divided into sub-granular methods, right? Independent components or independent methods. And you will be passing some variables and objects to your method, and you will be doing some functionality over there, like some logic. So these things are called as independent blocks. So we'll be testing each and every block by using our JUnit test code, right? That's why we call it as unit test cases. We'll be testing units of the program. Any questions, guys? No, everything is fine. What is Mockito? Why we need it? So we saw about JUnit. It is basically a framework which comes with predefined classes, which will help us to define our unit test cases and run them on an environment, right? Now, that is okay. Why we need Marketo? Simply, let's take an example, paint. I need a paint here. Okay, now let me put a block here. This is service layer, and that is database layer. Okay, and let's consider this as a database, right? This is service layer, and this is my database, and there is my DAO layer. This is my DAO layer, and this is my DB. Right, now let's quickly understand the flow. Again, guys, we have been seeing this flow from long time. My service to DAO, right? My DAO to DB, again, will read something from here, and my DAO will respond to service. Right, now I already told in unit test cases, we'll be testing independent blocks. That means there are some methods in here, 1, 2, 3, some methods which will be interacting with our DAO, right? And the DAO will be in again, in turn, it will be interacting with DB. Now, I wanted to test the service layer alone. I don't want to involve any of this part, right? How can I do that? Because my service layer depends on DAO for its requests and responses, right? Service layer will be talking with DAO. So what I will do, I will mark this. That means, just to give an example, what is marking, or what definition, what is marking? Okay, it can be defined as whenever there is a component not available, in place of the original component, we will be acting as the original component and responding in place of original component as it is. That means, let's say in our DAO layer, for example, I am writing a query to get count, or to get the truck details. Okay, a query to get the truck details, and we will be calling get truck method. So now I will be marking this. Okay, in place of our DAO, our Marketo will come. Marketo will come, and now the Marketo will be here. Okay, our Marketo will come, and our Marketo will be here. Instead of going to DAO layer, this will talk with our Marketo, and our Marketo will respond exactly as it is, or how our DAO will respond. So this point of time, we may not have this communication. This will work only in testing. Guys, this again I'm telling, it is only for testing purpose, not the real world. So here our service layer will interact with Marketo. Why are you behaving like this? So this is Marketo, right? So we will mark the exact behavior of DAO and give it to our service layer, so that our service layer can be independently tested. So that's why we are going with Marketo. We will be always marking the objects. So any questions on that, guys? And similarly, okay, before going forward to any questions, just one more I just wanted to add one more point here. Similarly, whenever we are testing DAO, what we will do, we will remove this interaction with the DB, and in place of DB, our Marketo will come here and act as a DB object, and I'll show that how it works. But before going into that, do you guys have any questions for me here, how a Marketo works and why we need Marketo?
Yes, Harish. Then what will be the difference between JUnit and Marketo? Means what will be the superiority of Marketo over JUnit? Why we are switching between them?
Can you please repeat the question, because I didn't get the question?
Yeah, actually I'm saying why we are going for Marketo.
Okay.
Because we have the JUnit, why we are going to Marketo?
Okay, yeah, okay, understood. Now let me clear all these things again. How can I clear everything here? Maybe I'll open a new one. File, new, don't save. Okay, now JUnit and Marketo again, guys. JUnit provides some set of classes, some set of annotations, okay, to test my application. That's all. Here again, putting one more box. Let me come to DB here, right? See, Marketo and JUnit are two different components, are two different libraries, two different frameworks. Marketo is for stubbing or marking the behavior. Let's say this and everything. Okay. This, I don't want to test this. I want to test this independently. And this is my service layer, right? But my service layer is dependent on DAO layer. Now, I don't want this communication to happen. I don't want this communication because it is a costly operation for me. Why I have to test everything? Anyway, I'll be testing my DAO again. I don't want to do that, right? It's a duplicate testing. It is whenever you're interacting with DB, it's always a costly operation. So I don't want to do that. So what will happen? I will be using JUnit again to test my functionality here. Methods here. These are methods. Okay. These are methods. This is in my service. And these methods, let's say this method wants to get count. Right. Now there is no interaction between DAO and service. So what I will do, I have a unit test case here. This is a unit test case running on top of this method. So testing this. So my unit test case will trigger, okay, to execute this particular method. So now my method is in execution mode. So it is trying to get some information from DAO. There is no DAO. What I will do, I'll place Marketo here. Marketo. And this will interact with Marketo. And Marketo will respond back, and my JUnit test case will get that response and will test the logic, whatever here it is available. So did I answer your question, or is there something missing pieces, missing blocks? Because if you are missing also, when we are executing this flow, it will be clear what I'm trying to explain here.
Okay. Actually, what we will be doing while we are mocking this DO layer with the Mockito, so we will be providing some data, right? Which we expect from the
whatever
DB.
is expected, we will be providing the data, assuming that our DO layer is working perfectly fine.
Yes. Okay, got it.
Okay. So let's, for example, I told you we will be getting truck details. So it is expecting one truck details. I'll be providing the exact same truck details what it is expecting. Here, the motto is to test the functionality of the service layer, not to test the functionality of DAO. See, independently, I'm testing the service layer alone. Right? There will be some logic. Let's say after getting the truck details, I'll be doing some validation on top of it. Maybe something like I may be interchanging the values, or maybe from truck DAO to I'll be getting some other values. So I need to verify all that logic, actual logic here. Clear? Any questions?
Clear.
Cool. We will see that in action. Okay, we'll see that in action.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if no questions, we'll move forward. Basically, guys, we will be using here JUnit test cases, JUnit for writing the test cases, Marketo for marking the objects, and we will see both the scenarios, like how I will be doing both. Okay, in the same test case. First, independently, for a better understanding, I'll write a JUnit test case. After that, I will see if there is any dependency, then how we can mark it. Okay, okay with that flow? Or do you guys want to see everything together in the beginning itself?
No.
So it will be better understood if we see JUnit test case first, and then how to bring Marketo in. So that's why I thought maybe showing you unit test case first, and then the Marketo. Sounds good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For that purpose, I don't want to touch this truck maintenance here. We will see a simple class how we can test Marketo. Okay, anyway, we'll be going to truck maintenance again to test this functionality using JUnit test cases. But here, before going into the complex application, let's understand the JUnit test case functionality. Okay, right. For that purpose, I'll be creating a simple Maven project. Let's name it after unit test example. Oh, this is a group ID. Where's my quick start? I want that. Test unit test. Guys, we have already gone through this unit group ID and artifact ID. That's why I'm not repeating. Test case. Okay, finish. Let's not complicate this. Anyway, we'll be seeing more complex things later. The functionality I'm going to write here is very simple functionality. So let's say okay. Oh, not first project. My bad. Where is it? Test case. This is mine. Okay. I don't want this main, so I'll simply delete it. Forget about main. We don't need main. But again, guys, before going to write test cases, I need some dependencies, right? Because I told we will be using JUnit test cases. So that is a dependency here. And the scope is test. In fact, I'll be using a different version because my Eclipse doesn't have capacity to work on 3.8.1. It is expecting a newer version. So let's say I want to work at least with 4.12. In fact, you can work with 5, but for this session 4 will do. And as of now, we don't need Mockito here, okay, because I promised you I'll show you just JUnit testing. Right, let's see. Now I'm going to write a simple class. Let's name it unit test cases, just for our understanding purpose. That's all. Unit test cases. Okay, or let's say let's name it proper so that we will be following the naming conventions as well. Okay, let's name it. Okay, what? Splitting the string. That is a function which I'm going to write. Splitting the string. Okay, and that's all. So we have a method here, and the method is a public and it returns a map of. Let me write that. Public and returns a map of string comma long. So my functionality, what I'm going to write here is get map count. So it will take a string. Okay, it will take a string, and what it's going to do, it's going to split the string and count the repeated strings in the substring, repeated words in the string. So that means, let's say if I have a string spring boot is better than spring. So if you observe that string properly, so we have spring repeated 2 times, right? And boot 1 time, is 1 time, better 1 time, than 1 time. So I'll be having map of spring has 2 times, boot 1, is 1, better 1, than 1. That is my map. So any questions on the functionality, guys, which we are going to write right now? So it's just simple method to calculate the repeated words or the word count, repeated word count. Okay, that's all. Now let's quickly do that. So for that I need a map of string comma long. Okay, name it quickly map. So what I'm going to do is test string dot split. So I'm splitting based on a delimiter, and my delimiter is space in our case. So, and I need a stream out of this. I'm assuming everybody is aware of streams. So I'm taking a stream out of this, and I'll be iterating over that. So I'll be just using Java 8 functionality to do that for me, because I'm not writing a for each loop here. COLLECTORS collectors here, right over here. Collectors dot grouping by function dot identity. Function dot identity. Why is not coming up? It is identity. Okay, what is the error? Okay, I'm running on lower than 1.8. Let's quickly fix that. Properties, builders, Java build path, libraries. So I'm working on this. I don't want that library. So I'll be using this library here, and it's 1.8. Finish. That is good. And my compiler. Okay, apply. And my compiler, I'll be changing it to 1.8. I went through very quickly, guys. So whenever I create a Maven project in Eclipse, it will take the default version. The default version which I created is with 1.5. So I didn't change from that time. So that's why it is still taking 1.5, but I'm upgraded to 1.8. So that's the reason which I changed right now. Now I should be in a position to, okay, identity, comma, collectors dot, why is not coming? Collectors dot counting, COUNTING counting, and that's all. So I'll be reading that. So any questions on that, guys? Any questions on the function which I wrote? As I explained, it is exactly the same functionality which I explained, taking the string, splitting the string by using a delimiter, and then repeatedly counting. Let's say, for example, spring, repeated 2 times. So in my map, I need to place a spring, and as a long variable, it is a count that is basically 2. Boot 1, is 1, better 1, than 1. Right. This is a very simple functionality. So if you have any questions, please let me know, because we need to understand the functionality to test it. That's why I'm repeating again and again. So any questions on the functionality?
What this function or identity will do?
I can't hear you, Shahan.
Yeah, I'm saying what this function dot identity will do.
Oh, it's so it's basically what exactly the other way is. Let me tell you this. So we will be getting I right here as a lambda.
Yes.
So that's all.
Yeah.
That's function dot identity. So identify itself. Okay, it's basically set. We are telling for the collectors to identify itself whenever there is a variable there. So it's other way of writing this. It is there is a util.function.function. Basically, it's what do you call this? Predicates. So we are using that. That's all.
Okay.
That's a better way. So any other questions? Right. Now let's see how I can do a quick test case. So I don't want this test. So what I will do is I'll remove this and I'll write my own test case. Remember, guys, whenever you're writing a test case, so basically all the test cases will be divided into classes. Here also, even in testing also, we will be writing classes, and the class exactly will test the same class functionality. Let's, for example, now I have splitting the string. So for testing this class, I need to write one more class. The class name will be splitting the string test or test splitting the string. It's up to you, the naming conventions which is conveyed by your organization. So I will be, because I have been following this way, I'll be going appending the test at the end. Splitting.
So is it mandatory to create classes for every class?
It is mandatory to test. It is mandatory to create all the, I mean, like whatever, let's say you have 100 classes. you will be having test classes for all the 100 classes. And guys, one more thing, we will not be testing model objects. Okay, so don't create test classes for model objects until unless you are overriding the equals method and the hash code method. Anyway, we will be testing those hash code methods in a different functionality altogether, but POJOs or model classes, we will not be writing test cases. Apart from that, you will be writing test cases for almost all the classes which you're going to implement. And each and every test case will have, each and every class will have a separate test class, and the test class will be used to only test the functionalities present in that particular class only. So any questions on that?
Clear.
They went too fast.
No, it is clear.
Okay, cool. Now I don't need void main, right? I don't want void main. It's just a simple test case. So how can I tell it? It's a test case. All you have to do is write a just a minute, guys. So basically what you have to tell is there are some annotations which will be provided by our JUnit framework. All you need to do is use those appropriate annotations to specify this as a test method. Let's say, for example, I'm going to write a method to test the functionality which we just created. Public. So I'm not expecting anything. So get map count. That is my test. Again, whenever you are testing a method, the method name should be like the functionality which you are testing. For example, in our case, I'm going to test valid scenario, right? Test valid. So the name of the class, the name of the method here, and after that a test and the name of the functionality. Okay, and again it depends on the norms what your organization set. Some guys will write something like here, test g get map count for valid scenario, something like that. It's up to your organization. For now, I'll be taking this way, the other way which I told. So I'll be following always the same scenario, writing the test at the end and the functionality later point of time. Okay, now what I'm going to test? I'm going to test this method, right? This method. So how can I invoke this method? I need to create an object of this class, right? Let's see that. Splitting the string equal to new splitting the string. Right, now I need to call that method. But my sorry, not get class, get map count. Okay, right, but the problem here is that it is expecting a string. For that I need to create a string. We'll use the same string. Okay, I'll just copy paste the same string here, and I'll be showing you the different scenarios, guys, not only this. Right, now I'll be passing that test string. I'll be getting some response. Let's say I'm getting a map. Let's name it map equal to, okay. Now everything is fine. How can I test it? So I can just print sys.out.println, right, to test it, map.toString. But that is not our motto. If I want to do this, I can do the old way, the old method of executing everything and looking up in the UI or maybe in the logs to verify everything, right? So I don't want to do this way. What I have to do, I need the automatic way of telling whether the test case is passing or not by my JVM, by my framework, right? How can I do that? For that purpose, we have this beautiful annotation, test, and that's all. Again, there are so many tests, guys. You need to use arg.junit.test. Okay, now it is an indication that it will be running as a test case, right? Everything is fine, but how am I validating? Am I validating against actual result versus the expected result. Is there any validation here? No. Let's validate that. For that purpose, we have asserts. So assertion means comparing. Assertion is comparing. Okay. Assert equals. First, I'll be comparing. First, I'll be checking the initial test case. My test case is in this string, I'll be expecting the count of map as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is actual map dot size. Okay, and I will be passing 5 here. Is it my expectation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's perfect. So any questions on that, guys? What I'm expecting? Why I'm expecting 5 as my map size? Are you guys understood? Because I've been explaining how it works, right? What is my functionality? That's why I've been explaining the functionality again and again, what I'm trying to do there. Right, now let's quickly see this, how it works. Run as, there is something called unit test. Don't panic, there will be some issues with our Eclipse setup because we have been running on the old legacy application still. It may complain saying that it cannot find or something. Okay, no, it didn't complain. And that's all, it worked. So if you see this, there is no failure cases, runs one by one, error 0, failure 0, which means our function is working for valid, right? But I did not test the full functionality, do I? I just tested 5. So anything can be 5. Now I need to test how many springs available here. Assert, I'll be showing the other way instead of equals. So assert same, my expectation is 2 and my actual, let's see, map dot get my actual, I'm going to get spring, that is my key which I'm going to retrieve. So it has to come as 2. Let's say my expectation is I did some expectation wrong. Okay, even though my original functionality is working fine. Crap, it's not responding now. Even though my original functionality is not working fine, my expectation changed. Let's say I'm expecting 3. Let's see. Run as unit test cases. So there is a failure, right? Blank dot assertion exception. Expected 3. Here again, expected 3, but actual 2, which means our map is returning only 2 count. But actually, I just did it on purpose to show you how a failure looks like, guys. How a failure looks like again. So, but the original is, as per our requirements, it has to be only 2. Right? Now let's test the one more thing. Assert. So I'm expecting only 1 of type boot. That means I'm testing my result. The result of this method. The result of this method is a map. I'm testing that map, whether everything worked fine. See, if everything worked fine, my map should be as expected. So that's why I have to test the map here in our case. So basically, you will be testing the result of the method, okay, whether it is in the expected format or not. Indirectly, you will be testing all the functionality, right? That means if I'm testing this, that means here I'll be testing everything, how it works, how I'm converting into map, how I'm counting and everything, right? Because I'm testing the counts. I'm testing each and every independent element in my map. That means I'm testing entire functionality, which means I'm covering all the code lines. Right? Any questions on that, guys? Okay, let's see.
Yeah, Rich.
Yep.
How we will say that our test is working? On what basis we will be writing these test cases? You said we will be writing on the.
Right. First, let's understand again. Okay. Let's understand again.
Okay. Okay.
One more time. Right. What is the functionality of this method? Can somebody tell me? What am I doing there? If it is confusing for you guys to write using Java 8 features, I can simply write in for each loop. If you guys prefer for each, or what kind of logic you guys prefer, it's up to you guys. Tell me. I thought you guys are well versed with Java 8, so I'm writing in Java 8. I want somebody to tell me the functionality which I'm trying to achieve there.
Basically, in this method, what we are doing, we are taking one string and then splitting based on the spaces, void space, and then storing into the map. And we are increasing the map count.
If there is any duplicates.
So function.identity, I think it will.
Okay, guys. Now let me do the other way. Okay, I thought it may be clear. Now I'll do the other way. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. I assume that everybody are familiar with Java 8. That's okay. There is no need of Java 8 for this unit test cases and all. Okay. So I'm going to create a new hash map. Oh, why it's not coming up? Hash map. Okay. Now I'm going to one by one. So I'm expecting a string. Okay. Splitted array equal to just string dot split. This everybody is aware, right? What I'm trying here. I'm just splitting the string. So here now I'll have 1, 2, this one as a independent string, this one as an independent string, this as an independent string, this as an independent string, and again this one and this one. That's all I'm doing here. I'm just splitting the string using a space. Now let me iterate over this. For int I equal to 0, you can use the for each loop or the old way of doing this. Anything is fine. For I is less than splitted array dot length I plus plus. Right. Now my map is empty. First I need to insert into my map. So how can I do that? If map dot get off my object is I. That means for the first time here after splitting, string will come. I'm checking if the map is having any element with string as a key. Right. That is not equal to null. If it is there, what I'm going to do? I'm going to get that value. Get that value. Map.get of I. So into a long L equal to. And now, so it is already there. That means my count has to increment. So map.put off. I'm going to put the same value, but this time L plus plus, or I will increment it prior for better understanding. L equal to L plus 1. So I'm putting that L here. Right. So it cannot be long. You know why it's complaining, guys, right? That's because it's not a wrapper class which I declared earlier. Now, what is the problem again? I to string. My bad. That is the actual way of retrieving, because I'm retrieving based on a string, based on my key, not on my index. Okay, perfect. Right. Any questions on that, guys? If no questions, I'll write the else condition. That means assuming that there is no element by name spring in my map, so I need to put for the first time like that. So my first time it will be 0, sorry, 1. Count is 1, and it is long, right? So I need to go with L. Now is it clear what I'm trying to do here?
It's clear.
Right. Now my testing is based on my requirements. Again, my testing is based on my requirements. So if you are clear with the requirement, that means I'm providing a string. So my requirement is count the independent strings. Okay, is there any repetition? And count, I need the string I need the count of that string. Clear with the requirement, right, guys? If you guys
Yes,
want,
Harish.
I'll just show you what is the end output for this. Right. PSVM. PSVM public static void main. Oops, didn't come. PSVM. Why it's not coming? Right, let me write it. Public static 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 void main. It has to take arguments. String args. Right. So I'm declaring a string here. String str equal to right. So we saw string, and I'll be calling this method. But to call that method, it is not static method. So I need to create an object of this class again. Okay, SPL equal to new splitting string. Now I'll be using this method to get that dot count str. So now if I run this, what is the expected output for us? Let's see. As per my expectation, my map should have like 5 keys, and the keys are spring, boot, is, better, than, and I need to have the count as well. For spring, the count will be 2, and everything else the count will be 1. Let's see. Oh, I didn't print it. My bad. Okay. Run as Java application. Guys, see this. This is my expectation. Did you guys understand what I'm trying to do with the method here? Yes, no,
Yes, Harish.
no.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Now it's clear, right?
Yes, Harish.
Perfect. Now let's go back to our test cases. If you see this properly here, what am I testing? See the output, see the test cases which I wrote. So initially I'm testing the count of, I'm testing the size of the map. So my expectation is 5, right? If you count here, 1, 2, this better is 1, 2, than is 2, is 1, spring is 2, boot is 1 again. Right, that is means I should have 5 keys, right, in my map. So that is a size. If anything less than 5 keys, that means there is some issue with my method. The method is get map count in splitting the string class, right? Any questions on that? Guys, did you guys understood? Yes, no, yes, no. Guys, feel free to ask me if you don't
Understood.
understand, or if I'm missing something to explain. I will be more than happy to explain again.
Understood, Harish.
Cool, thank you. Now I'm testing the same again. Spring should be repeated 2 times, assert should be repeated 1 time, and that's all. This is my testing. So which means now if I run this as a JUnit test case, there is a failure. 2 and 2 was not same, because it is coming in long. I'm giving it as an integer. That's the ring. Understood why I'm changing to long, guys? Because this map.get will return in the long, and I'm passing it as an integer. 1 is an integer, so that's why it failed. Now let's see. Now all the test cases passed, right? So let's see the negative scenario here. How I can test it? Same again, test with null. So I am not doing any of exception handling here. So this is the best way to catch our exceptions, to find out, right? I'll be passing this. I don't want anything here. I'll be passing a null value and I'll be expecting a string here, right? And I'm expecting the same again here. Let's see. Basically, I expected null pointer exception. Let's see how it behaves. Run as generate test case, right? Null pointer exception. This is expected, right? Somewhere our null pointer is coming, so we have to fix that. Let's go to 18, line number 18. Somewhere it is coming. It's right over here, 18. So now there is an issue with this, right? When I'm passing null, so I need to test. I need to fix that. Surround with try catch. Get and setters. Where is my surround with try catch? Source. Surround with try catch block. Try catch. Okay. Now I'll be declaring it as an empty array of size. For this purpose alone, I'm declaring it as an empty array of size. New string of my size will be 5. And that's all. So now I handled the exception, but am I doing anything to that? I need to return null here. There is an error. Right, now let's see. Since I'm passing null, my map should be null. Okay. Assert equals null and my map. So any questions on that, guys? Any questions on that assertion? Run as unit test case. Clear. Now you saw that, right? How I am able to explore the problems in my code, and I'm able to fix it.
Yes, Harish.
So this is how we are going to do the unit testing for each and every method which you are going to write, each and every class. Okay, even for the services which we exposed in the previous session, we have to do the testing for that. Like, let's say I'm trying to get all the trucks, how will it behave? I'm trying to create a truck, how will it behave? So we need to test that. We will quickly see that in the next I mean, like in next 15 minutes. But for now, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 15. Sounds good, guys? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Resume recording. Okay. Okay, starting from the beginning again. So here we will be testing our APIs. So instead of using the class name, we'll be taking the get methods. That means we'll be taking the URLs. Okay, for example, right over here like this. So for this purpose, I will be needing a service, that is API service, which will be marked because our search API.java is dependent on this service. Right over here. If you go here, is auto wired, so I need to inject that service into this one, right? How can I do that? I need to mark first because I don't want control to go to this search service, right? So I'm going to mark this and I will be injecting it. How can I do that? See, this is Spring Boot application. That means we are loading the context, we are loading the IOC. So whenever you are marking something, the IOC will take care of injecting that into the appropriate classes. So in our case, so it will be injecting into search API class. And for that purpose, I just marked it. Now I'm testing a functionality that is by name get truck by license and username test with valid inputs. So I'm providing just a truck details here, that is basically truck license, and I'm not sending anything in the headers. Just even though I don't send anything in the headers, my function should not return in an exception, right? It has to return okay but empty list. That means it should not find anything because I'm not sending anything, all the username, right? For that purpose, I'm just doing this expected okay, and I'm not expecting anything. But I just wanted to show you guys we can write and expect. If you want to perform some assertions, like for example, my string string and my matcher, for example, I want in the expected response, I want something like con contains string, something like this. It's again a static import, so which I have to import. Let's say I'm expecting just a double quote like that, or a single. It has to have a JSON, right? Like that. Now let me import this contains string. Okay, this is part of a different algorithm. This is part of a different matcher again. That is this one, code matchers. Okay, now it is expecting something. So our function may result in an exception. So giving a warning throws an exception, and that's all. Now, am I ready to test my functionality? No, because I marked, but I never told how my mark service has to behave, right? For example, here, our mark service will be calling this method, right? I never told whenever we call this method how it has to behave, right? Let's see how we can declare that. Simply, I can use when. Okay, it's not part of core. It is part of Marketo. For that, it is a static import again. We need to import when. Right. That will be like this. Marketo org.marketo dot when. Okay, that means I'm telling my mark service whenever you encountered any kind of this call. For example, in our case, API service dot. So we may call get truck details by license ID and username, right? So if you want, you can pass exactly the same name, right? And you can specify for this request, you just need to respond an empty array list like that. Anything, basically it's null, right? So there is a better way of doing that. How can I do that? Let's see that quickly. Instead of specifying a single string or single parameter, you can simply tell that whatever gets, like anything, marketo dot any. That means you have like any string, any class, any boolean, any byte, based on your type of the parameter which you are passing. So I'm telling any, basically it's an object. So you need to pass the parameter here, right? Pass a parameter here. Let's quickly go and check here what kind of parameter I'm passing. So I'm passing a string and a string, both are strings, right? So I can pass it string dot class, comma, and again there is expecting one more parameter, right? Simply like that. Then I need to do some operation, right? Whenever I'm getting a call, this is a way of specifying when API service dot get truck details has been called with these parameters. What I have to do? Simply dot then return. I'm going to return a new array list, and that's all. I'm not sending any kind of data here. All I'm doing is just responding with a empty array list. That is our motto, right? That is what I'm testing for right now. Let's quickly have a look at that again. So this is how you are going to mark annotations, guys. So first you need to use mark private API API service. Basically whatever the class, whatever the functionality which you are marking. So in our case, we are marking the API service layer. So that's why I marked that, right? This is okay. Our IOC will take care of injecting this appropriate API service object into search API Java. But did we specify how it has to behave when it gets a particular request? When it gets a particular method call, in our case, it is going to call get truck details by license and username. So here we are specifying whenever, hey, API service, whenever you encounter a call for this method, right, with any of these kind of parameters. So any parameter which comes with a string.class, just return an empty array list, and that's all. So any questions on that, guys? Any questions on the Marketo? Is it too confusing or is it too vague?
That is, we are performing like when and then here, line number
Then here.
37 and 38.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. What
Yeah.
is the question? We are performing when and then. Yes.
Yeah. After that, what will this do? Line number 42, 43.
Okay. Right. Now, what is the main motto of this test case here, guys? What is the main motto of the test case here? Let's write a comment here. Can somebody tell me what are we testing here? What are we going to test here? What is my motto of the test case here?
Basically, we will be testing that URL whether we are getting the proper license. I mean, truck detail or not with the license and user.
Okay. Let me repeat this again, guys. Let me repeat this. So the motto is the test case is to test the API, and the API is, for example, in our case, so it can be deployed anywhere, but here it is local host colon and whatever the random port, because we specify random port here. For example, I will be taking 33366. Okay, and what is the context path, because it will be loading the context path from our resources, and there is a truck management slash and whatever this API. So we will be testing this API. That means if you think technically, the call will go to right over here, right? It'll come to this get method. So any questions on that, guys?
No.
Clear, right? So far with me?
Yeah.
So far with me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Now let's see. I don't need too many comments here. Now once the call comes there, what I have to do? Call is here. Everything is fine. Call is here. My get is getting the request and the headers. There are some headers. I'll be getting it. And now what I have to do? First it will print this. Later point of time, there is a call to this API service dot get truck details by license number, username and password. Right. Now, if we remember properly, we will be testing the independent modules. That means I don't want the call to be going to this actual implementation of this method. That means right over here. I don't want my function to go here, my call to go here. So instead, what I was telling, we will be marking the exact replicate behavior of this one, exact behavior. So in our case, so it will be responding with a list of truck user information, right? It will be responding with the truck user information. So I need to exactly replicate this behavior. So for that purpose, what I'm doing, coming back to our search API, for that purpose, I am marking our service. Okay, this is how you're going to mark the service. So far with me, guys?
Yes, Harish.
Cool. Now I specified my IOC, hey, the API service has been marked. Instead of the regular one, use this. Okay, IOC has been notified to use the mark service. Instead of original one. So far with me?
Yeah, Harish.
Cool. Now what I have to do? So far I just told use the marked service, that's all, but I never told to my mark service how it has to behave, right? Whenever you call a particular method in that service, basically in the service layer, I'm specifying about the service as service because it is a service layer, not the REST service. So the service layer, we never told how it has to behave, right? For that purpose, I am specifying that here. Hey, API service. Hey, API service. Whenever there is a call for this particular method, okay, which will be done by our search API, which will be done by this testing program. So what do you have to do? It may pass 2 arguments, and the arguments, let it be anything of type string. That means this one. These 2 means anything of type string. Anything of type string, comma, anything of type string. Okay, so my IOC will call this API service dot get truck details by license and username by passing 2 parameters. Let it be any parameter. I don't care about the parameter value. All I care is the type of the parameter. Okay, and then you have to respond. That is means then you have to respond, then return with what? Just return a empty array list, and that's all. So now whenever I call this service, okay, the call will come here, right over here, and it will print this, and it will try to call this API service. At that point of time, instead of going to the original service, so what my IOC will do, it will rewrite that service to this one, right over here. The call will come to here, and here I'm passing this variable, right? So it is considered as a string, right? So it's considered as a string right here, and one more null will go because I'm not setting any headers, so that will be considered as a string. That means everything matched here. So my service will respond with me a complete brand new array list without any elements in it. So far with me?
Yes.
So is it clear or is it confusing? Cool. I'm taking that silence as you guys understood everything. Perfect. So, and that's all. Right. There is one more annotation which we need to specify. Okay. That our Spring Boot will not configure for us. We need to specify that we need to enable auto configure MVC, like this, auto configure MVC, because we are using the mock MVC object, right? Like that. If you remember this, we are using this mock MVC object. So I need to specify my IOC. Hey, I'm using mock MVC. Please configure that and use that in your IOC instead of using the regular MVC object. Clear with that statement? Any questions on that? Right. Let's execute this and let's see. Run as JUnit. Okay. Again, it's my legacy Eclipse, so I'm going to change that runner. Compiler. No, where is my runner? Okay. I'll go to run as right over here. Run as run configurations. So I'm running on JUnit 5, but I included JUnit 4 as my dependency, if you remember properly in pom.xml. So JUnit 4, apply, run. Right, let's see the logs. Okay, there is an error, but let's see the logs, why it failed. Okay guys, what did I tell? I specified, we specified to Spring that run this class with JUnit 4.spring4 JUnit class runner, and I specified the shorthand notation, if you remember properly, that I specified as spring runner.class. Let me show you that right over here. Right, That's what I specified here. Perfect. Now what it is doing, constructor called with class com.service API test. Basically it is loading this. That's when we are going to call the constructor. Perfect. Next, cache aware context loader delegate from class. So it is actually setting up the required information for it, whatever is required for it, right? Now what it is doing, so it is searching for some of the resources if there is any configured. For example, right over here, com.truck API search API search API from text context.xml. See, what is the context? I already told. By default, Spring Boot is auto configurable. That means we don't have to configure anything. Okay, so it will load all the necessary classes for us, all the necessary beans for us. In case if you want to explicitly specify, you can specify in the form of XML files as well. So it is looking for that. If there is any test cases, sorry, if there is any specific beans which I have to load for this specific test, so we didn't specify anything, so that's why it is looking for that and could not find. Okay, and then it's trying to load something. Then search API test. Specific test does not declare any static, non-private, non-final nested annotation with the configuration. So it's not able to load at the rate configuration classes. Right. No active profile set. So that is the information which we got. Now let's see what are we missing here. So I specified run with class. I specified mock MVC. I specified mock. Right. Everything is fine. I specified test. That is also good. I specified okay. That is also good. But what am I missing here? Organize imports. Okay. Spring Forerunner. Let's quickly have a look at our form.xml. What are we missing? Are we missing anything here? I included the test scope. Perfect. I included the dev tools. That's perfect. I included my JUnit test cases. Perfect. I included my test. That's also good. Let's see. What am I missing? The better way of doing this is you can use this mv clean install command. Why it's not loading? It will tell you what are all missing, why it is failing properly. It's not loading up, guys. So any questions on that so far, whatever we discussed? I know it's a little bit complicated to understand if you guys don't have any experience with unit test cases. Why is it not working? Come on. Ah, crap. Sorry guys, it's taking some time. Okay, meantime I'll do the same here. With my search API test, Spring Forerunner, enable mock MVC, perfect. Run as general test case. It falled back to this configurations. Weird. Play and run. Okay, now we got the error. Unable to find Spring Boot configuration. You need to use @contest configuration or Spring Boot test. Perfect. So that is the error. And classes with your test. So did I specify any classes here? No, I didn't specify any class here. So you need to specify the class which you are going to load. Classes equal to. So what is the class which I'm going to test? Like that. Oh, come on, come up. Okay, what is a class? Why is it not coming up? Dot class. Perfect. Like that. Now let's see how it behaves. I'm going to test this again. Run as generate test case. Again, it may fall back. Okay, now it's better. Now it's better. Now it's liking it. Okay. Okay. Fail to load application context. Perfect. Let's see why it's not able to load. If you have a look at the console, we'll have a better idea. Unable to start web server. Nested exception is due to missing web servlet server factory bean. So there is some dependency issue and we are not loading that. Again, where is our nest? Unable to due to missing servlet factory bean. So servlet factory bean is one of the bean which will be used to load the context and everything, guys. Basically, it is one of the class present in the core, Spring Boot core, Spring core. So let's do the better way. How can I do that? Let's load, instead of Spring API class, let's load truck application.class. So if you observe properly, let's go back to the truck application class. Where is our class here? Right over here. That means we are loading some of the components, some of the, we are specifying it as a Spring Boot application. That means now I am depending on my Spring Boot to configure everything for me. Okay, I'm not configuring anything. Any questions on that, guys? Any questions on that? Any concerns or any, if you guys are not able to understand, please let me know. I'll try to explain in the layman terms again. Okay. Run as unit test case. Hope this time it will like it. Okay, now it's good. Bootstrapping, application context, initializing, index. Perfect. Starting zip. Yes. Now let's go back to our test case and let's see. So the error response, because I'm searching for an empty string, but my actual response is an empty array, which means nothing, literally null, right? It'll come as a like this. It'll come as like this. That's why it is failing. Now let's fix the test case. It's a problem with the test case. Perfect. Run again. Run as JUnit test case. Okay. Guys, if you observe the logs properly, it is exactly the same logs, okay, which will be which we will observe when we are starting the real application. Instead, we are doing this for the testing purpose, that too only our testing purpose, the unit test cases purpose. Now it liked it because the actual is equal to original, whatever we got. So any questions on this, guys? If you guys want me to explain everything in detail again by opening a notepad or a picture, I can do that, how the call works, how everything is going for this particular scenario, so that you guys will have a better idea what I'm trying to do here, what we are trying to do here. Guys, any questions, concerns on this? Okay. Yes, no? Guys, understood? Yes, no?
A bit confusion. Yeah.
A bit confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
The same confusion is something like we are saying mockito.when. This is what we are saying to use, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
We are saying the Spring to use our mocking layer, right?
Yes.
Once we are calling this get truck details method.
Perfect. Yes.
So after that, from line number 17, what we are saying, we are just writing the test, right?
Line number 47.
What it should return. Yes.
Okay, this is okay. This part is marking part. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
This part is the original test part.
Original test part, yeah. Okay.
This is
That is what we were using, the assert equal assert.
Yeah, like exactly. That is a general test way.
Like that.
This is okay.
Yeah.
I will show you that way as well. But I wanted you guys to know about like how we use the mark MVC for the web layer.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why I will show you the assertion and everything. I'll show you that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that is my first statement. There are multiple ways to test the Spring Boot, right? Spring Boot unit test cases. That is my first statement. So one we saw using JUnit test cases. Here also it is JUnit test cases only. It is nothing out of the box solution. If you see this is part of arg.JUnit test case. But the way we are calling, we are not calling the class here. We are calling the API. We are calling the REST service. That's why I have to do this. I'm marking that and I'm calling that. That's why I have to do this. But if you guys insist, you guys want the regular way, I can show that as well. But I just wanted to know how much you guys got it from this explanation which I gave, like how we are calling this APIs, how we are using this Spring Boot test annotation, why I have to load the class here. Remember guys, I told in the very first lecture of Spring Boot, to make any application to auto configure, like Spring Boot Spring Boot annotation will comes with two annotations, that is enable auto configuration plus component scan. Here in your test also you may need some of the inbuilt or predefined classes, predefined objects, right? If you don't specify, it won't, our IOC won't inject everything. That's why we got errors. Now since I specified, that means it will go and load this class. On the top of this class we have the Spring Boot application which specifies this as a Spring Boot application. So that's why we were able to get all the necessary objects, all the necessary beans ready for us. Spring Boot configured everything for us. That's why we have to specify this. So any questions on this, guys? Right, let's see if you guys still have some doubts. Let me open a paint. I'll explain the same scenario, what we are doing. Okay, how we are doing it.
Yes.
Let me go here. I'll go new one and save. Right, let me take a box again. This is our API. No more confusion. This is our service layer, that is API service, the function, the name of the class. I'll write anyway. And this is our test. Okay, let me write that. So this is our, I'll write the appropriate names, guys. Just give me some time. Search API and then API service. Oh, okay. This is our search API. And this is our API service. Okay. And this is our search API test. Right. Now, let me take this. Our search API is exposing a REST service, right? And it will consume also some details. That is my REST service. And let's take that REST service name as path as, so /search, basically localhost /search /truck/ the license ID here. So truck LICNSE license ID. So if I use this, there is a method which is present in this search API, which will handle the appropriate request. For example, in our case, let's handle this, consider this method. There's a method name, and the method name is, I'll write that method here. Let me go to get the method here, and this is a method. That is a method. What that method will do, that method will take input, okay, a header information and the path variable right over there, path variable, and it will call this one, That is a flow, and it will respond with this, and we'll get response from here, right? Now what I'm doing is there is a unit test case here. My unit test case is using these API values, basically the API. Anyway, even though if I use this, it will go to my method, and my method will in turn will call this API service, right? Which I don't want that to happen. So what I'm doing here is I'm marking this exact behavior. I'm marking this behavior. So how am I marking? I'm removing the communication between these two. Right? Instead, I created one more mock object, that is a stub. We call it stub or mock object. So that mock object name is API service mock. API service mock. I created a mock object. Now whenever I get a call, right, instead of going to the regular one, I specified my IOC to, hey, get the call to this mock one instead of going to the new one, right? So now my IOC, what it will do whenever I get a call, it will use this and it will respond with this. That too I specified only for a particular method, and the method is right over here. Let's say the method name. Let me get the appropriate original method right over here. This is a method. That is my method. Let me write that. That's my method. Okay. So this is a method name, and we specified return statement as well. So whenever you get a call to this appropriate method, return an empty list. That is a modified behavior. Now let's closely observe again everything. First, I am trying to test the API. The API is this one, a particular API, right? And for that purpose, I created a test by using JUnit test cases. So I created one of the test case. Now my test case will call this API right over here, which in turn will be called this method, and that method will call is dependent on API service. Now in our scenario, there is no communication here. There is no communication with the API service. What I did, I created a mock object. There is a mock object, and I specified my IOC, hey, instead of going to the regular service, take my mock service, right? So for that, it will establish a connection here. So again, I established a connection, but how will it know what is the response it has to respond? For that purpose, I specified right over here. For this method, whatever the string, whatever the input, forget about the input, don't care, just return an empty list. So it will return with an empty list. So it will return empty list here, all the way again here, empty list, and I'll get empty list here like that. This is my empty list, and I'm validating that because I expected empty list, right? So now I removed this communication with this in my test. Instead, I'm going to my mock. So any questions, guys? Is it clear with the diagram at least? Or I still confused you guys more?
Clear, Harish.
Clear, Harish.
Clear?
Good, good.
Okay, thank you. Now let's see, instead of doing this way, we can use a REST template. It is a class basically provided by REST services, basically provided by Spring Boot. How we can use that to call a REST service, right? Let's do that. As I told, it is a class, which means my Spring IOC has it somewhere. The bean has been loaded somewhere. So all I have to do is use the appropriate bean. So how can I use that? Simply use this auto wire let's go with the private variable. Again, access specifiers, I'm not going to talk about that. Test REST template. See that Means whenever I use the Spring Boot test, my Spring IOC will keep all these things ready for me. Just let's name it template. TMP-LAT. I can use this. So now let's test it. I'll write all these things again. This time, okay, instead of testing this method, let's test this method, the other one. Get mapping trucks, just truck. Okay, I'll be trusting just truck. I'm not passing anything. Perfect. So what is the method name? As usual, I need to get the method name. Test with valid inputs. Right. Now let's go back here. I marked the service. Everything is fine. Instead, my service is calling this method now. I mean like API service, the service layer is calling this method. So I need to mark this method, right? Let's mark this. How do I do that? Simply come here, API search service, mark it. So it is expecting a single parameter. That is, I'm specifying any string. You can go with any string, but for better understanding, let's mark only for particular object. Let's say like that. I wanted to specify only this, like that. So whenever you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 T only, you have to respond. What you have to respond? So it is expecting a single truck details, right? Let's respond with a single truck details. New. Okay, let's see what is the return type here. So it is expecting truck details. So let's respond with the new truck. And you can specify your new truck details by using a constructor, guys. So we have new truck, right? New truck details, and there exists no parameterized constructor. Let's quickly create a parameterized constructor for that purpose. Where is our beans right over here? Okay, there is no parameterized constructor. Let's create one. Source, getters and setters, constructor using field, select all. Source, constructors using field, deselect all. Okay. What is that? There exists one already. Okay, cool. I don't want to do it. If there is one already, I don't want to override that. Coming here, now I can pass, right? I can pass the parameters, whatever I want, like that. So win number, let's say, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And again, guys, I am specifying the exact license, right? So I'll be using the same exact license here. Instead, if you want, you can use any other license, but here I'll be using that. And a model, I can specify anything. It's of type string. So I can go with QX30. Okay, for better understanding, I pulled it here. 2013. Previous owner is Harish. You can specify anything, guys. It is your object. Nobody cares. It's just a testing object. Total kilometers is 0. Is all maintenance, and it is true. Now, what am I telling? Let's understand this again for marking. So what am I telling here? Whenever, hey, whenever this API service, okay, whenever you encounter a call, to this method which is present in that API service, okay, this time instead of using any object, any kind of object, it doesn't matter for me, but here I am specifying the value. Whenever you encounter a call with this value, with this appropriate value only, if and if the value matches only, then respond with, what am I responding with? These details. So any questions on that, guys? Did you guys understand what I'm trying to tell here? About the mark, guys?
Yeah, it's clear.
Cool. Now, I don't want this to happen, right? I don't want a truck. I don't want a truck. I mean, like, I don't know, as I specified, I don't want using this mark MVC. So let's see what else I can use. If you remember, guys, I declared this template, right? So let's see what are the methods which we have in the template. Template dot, see this. I'm going to use get, right? I'm going to get an entity. I'm going to get an entity. That's all. And what is my URL? Search/truck, right? And what are the parameters which we are expecting here? Basically response type, right? So I'm expecting a, let's say, I'm going to convert everything into string. I don't care, even though it is giving me a JSON, but still it is a string for me, right? Let's see. Response type, this is string.class. If you want, you can go with the truck details.class, but for better understanding, everything is string. We can go with this. I'll show you how to get the truck details as well. Now, what is the response code? Sorry, what is the response code which we are expecting? So HTTP status dot okay, right? That's all. Now everything is good. I got the response. So what it will give me? See this. I'm going to get a response entity out of this template. Response entity. Okay, I'm just question mark. It will take implicit entity, whatever it is taking. So response entity, response entity. Perfect. Now I'm going to assert these things now. The same old way which I specified you how to use assert. Assert, ASSERT, assert. So I'm going to check first the status code. Okay, first the status code, whether it is coming okay or not. Assert status. Okay, where is it? Assert dot same. Assert same. Assert same. Why is it not coming up? Assert ASSERT same. Okay, let's go with equals. Forget about same. So what is my response code here?
200.
Response dot status code. Get status code. Perfect. My actual HTTP status dot okay. Right. In fact, I'm hard coding here. I don't want to do that. Let's remove that. Let it get from the actual request. Okay, let's see. Now, once that is done, I'm expecting an object. So I'm expecting an object in that string. I'm expecting something like this. QX30 should be present. Let's do that. Assert contains. Sorry. Assert. What do I have here? Okay. Assert true. Okay. My condition is simple. Whatever the response entity I'm getting, I will use that response entity dot get body. The body is response body, right? Dot to string. I'm converting into a string dot contains. Guys, this is string comparison. That's all. I'm not doing anything exceptionally new out of the box. I'm just comparing, and it should contain 1263. Let's go with QX30. Right. First, let's run this, and we'll see the other comparisons. Like we can verify whatever you want right now. Okay. Let's see this how it works. But before going to execute this, do you guys have any questions on this? What I'm doing here?
No, it's clear.
Clear, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's run this. Same way. Same way. Okay, again it fall back. There's some setting issue with my Eclipse. Run as run configurations. Unfortunately, I specified 4.x and it is running on 5.x. I don't want that to happen. Okay, now it started. My test started. Test going on. If you have logs, in our case, we have system.out.println statements. We can see those println statements in the console. Let me find out that. It should be somewhere. Okay, there is some error came. Truck license is not present. Required parameter missing. Perfect. So we are it throw an exception. So as per our requirements, our test case has to fail. Right? We are expecting okay, but there is an exception. So it's a 400 bad request. Right. Let's see what are we missing here. But before going to debug what we are missing, do you guys clear with this concept of what I'm doing here, right? What I'm trying to test?
Yes, Harish.
Cool. Now let's go and debug that. What am I missing here? There is a request parameter. I'm not passing that. So that's why it is failing. Now let's pass that here. Okay. How can I pass that? Simply just specify that truck license is equal to this is my license plate, and that's all. All you have to do is that you need to pass the appropriate parameter. You need to call the appropriate API to test it. Now let's test this. Okay. Okay, there is an exception. Incorrect result size. Expected 1, actual 0. Empty result set. Let's see where we are failing it. But anyway, our test case might have failed because we expected 200 okay, but 404 not found. Let's see that. Let's go back to our error. Let's handle this. Let's find our appropriate class. Where is our appropriate class? Here, right over here. Oh, it is going to truck DOI MPL. Right over here. I don't want that to happen. Why is it going there? Didn't I inject appropriate values? Guys, see this. Our function should never go to this place, right? Didn't I specify? Is it a modularized thing if I go to this place? Right? It is not a modularized way of testing. Because I'm depending on my struct DAO, I don't want that to happen. I don't want my test cases to go to this appropriate place. So I'm marking them and I need to respond in the way. Right. Why I'm not able to do that? Can somebody answer me? This is what I wanted to show you guys why I cannot. What is the other way of using it? Can somebody tell me why I'm not able to do that? Because we have been speaking about this mock and all those things, right? Guys, can somebody tell me why I'm not able to do that? Because I gave an explanation about what is my template, from where I'll get the template, and what it is calling right now. Okay, let me step back. Right. So from this explanation, guys, what did you understand? First, tell me. Okay, let me explain you guys. I mocked this object perfectly fine, but I am using this REST template. Okay, what my REST template will do? Will it inject this mocked object, my IOC, because we are using mock MVC pattern. Remember, guys, we are using mock MVC. So now what it will think is, hey, instead of using mock MVC, use the web MVC, the original MVC pattern, right? So that's why it's ignoring this and going for the original MVC pattern over here. And that's why in our console, we are seeing the call goes to the original MVC. Am I confusing you more?
No, Harish.
No, Harish.
So we have to use this way. We have to specify hey, use mock MVC instead of the original one. Okay. Anyway, I will show you this. I will show this how we will work with the REST template later. But I want you guys to understand this concept of testing, Spring Boot testing. Now, can somebody answer me? Again, I'm asking the same question. Why I am not able to get the appropriate marked results here?
Because IOC is not correctly injected the mocked the method we are calling.
Perfect. So it is not problem with the IOC. It is problem with us. We are not telling IOC to mark these appropriate methods, right?
Yes.
Because we are using the regular REST template to test the real service. But we are marking that everything. We are just exposing the service, but we are marking this background information, the service layer itself. So I need to specify, there should be a way to specify my MVC to use the marked layer instead of the original one. Here I marked that everything is fine. Marking injected, everything is fine. But I'm not specifying to my MVC pattern to pick the marked version. So I can do that by using this MVC. So this is the only way which I can do that. So any questions on that, guys?
So it means if we are following MVC pattern, we have to use this selected, what you have selected, right?
Perfect. You have to use this mark MVC only. This is part of arc.springframework. Somewhere it will come from mark MVC. Let me check that.
Okay.
Where is my mark MVC? It's right over here. Servlet. It's part of servlet.mark MVC. Right over here. If you guys want, I can explain with a better picture the other scenario which I tested right now. I just wanted to show you guys we can use REST template, but that is for the real testing, not for the marking one, which we are trying to do. Which we are trying to do mark the independent layers and test it. Right. There is one more thing called integration testing, where you will be integrating everything and test properly. So at that point of time, you will be using this REST template, this concept, but that is not part of our syllabus, so we are not going there. So any questions, guys? Or do you guys want me to implement one more method for better understanding?
Harish, can we implement this one with the mock MVC? Maybe it will clear everything.
Perfect. Let's do that. So what I will do, I'll just comment it out, guys. This is for your reference again. I'm not going to delete this code.
Yeah, sure.
Right over there. But instead of that, I'm expecting QX30, right? My string should have QX30. Like that. That's all. Rest, everything is same. Here, what is the extra statement which I'm making here for this particular method? Hey, use mark MVC instead of regular web MVC, which is auto configured by default with the Spring. Now let's execute this. Run as generate test case. Okay, it's loading. Let it load. Okay, I got some response, but status is 404. Let's quickly verify what is wrong with that. Truck search API, it is going back again. Actual one, truck DOIMPL, something is wrong again. Okay, this time let's quickly fix it. Okay, perfect. I don't want to come here. Truck DOIMPL, I don't want to come here. Perform search API, truck license. Let me check whether it is coming as truck license here. This is truck license here. I got this headers as null. Okay. Am I okay? Get username, truck license, perfect. Response entity, API gets a truck by license. Did I mark the appropriate mark method here? Okay, I marked it. Oh, here's a problem, guys. String equals double equals will not work, so it has to work with dot equals. Any questions on that, guys? Like how string comparison works? We cannot compare with double equals, right? It has to point to the same object. We can use is dot equals.
Dot equals, yes.
Right? That's why it is failing here. I specified for particular object, so my test case is failing. I means my mark is failing, right? I'm not able to compare appropriate method here, so that's why it is going to the original one. Okay, again a little bit more confused. I know. Let's do this again. Markito dot any class. Let me copy paste it. It's a better way. Okay. Create method in then return truck details in type truck details. There is no method here. I don't want that to happen. Okay, it is telling me something is wrong. Okay, that is fine. I don't want this. Closing statements. Where am I closing? New here. New here. Okay, like that. Perfect. Dot. Guys, can somebody please tell me where am I closing here? I can see properly. Okay, that is my closing statement. Perfect. This should close here. Perfect. I missed some of the braces, guys. Sorry. So now it should work. Very bad. I should have a better equals in my truck DAO or in my API, search API.java. That equals method. Too much confusion. Sorry, guys. So still it is going. Okay. Why the hell it is going to truck DAO? Why are you going to truck DAO? Okay, let me debug properly. Did I miss anything in my search test? What am I missing here? Okay, I used Markito. Perfect. I am marking it perfect. Everything is good. Marking it good. Everything is good. Everything is good. Marking everything is good. Okay. Okay. What am I missing here? What am I missing here? Okay, service Markito is good. Perfect. This dot mark perform get I'm performing. QX30 performing. Perfect. Anyway, I need to check these, guys. Sorry for that. I can debug right now. It takes time for me. But any questions on this, guys? Anyway, I will explain this to you guys once I debug this. But I know I confused you guys a little bit today. I'm sorry for that. But any questions on anything else which we discussed?
Clear from my side, Harish.
I'm sorry for that, guys. I need to debug why it is misbehaving. Okay. I will explain again why it's misbehaving. I may have to fix my equal statement somewhere in my classes because I never implemented equals. If I go back here, where's my truck details? I never implemented any equals or hash code methods. So it may be misbehaving here somewhere, but anyway, I'll fix it and I'll let you guys know. So any questions?
No, Harish.
Okay. Now, if I speak about JPA, it will be too much for you guys. That will be one more confusing concept, but I'll try to explain in a very layman terminology, but not today. We'll speak about that tomorrow. I got some emails saying, I got only a couple of persons emails saying that they have some issues with their work in the with the environment in the weekend. So I'll let you guys do the work half an hour or maybe 1 more hour. So work on assignments. Please don't go back to your project works. Okay, please don't go back to your project works. Please do the assignments, and any issues, please contact me. I'll help you. And Shahan, if you can share the screen, I'll stop the sharing. If you can share the screen, we'll fix the issue with your DAO.
Yeah, sure, Harish.
Okay, now let's have a quick look at this. What is, okay, params, where is my, oh, you need to pass up params as well. You need to pass params as well in the
Yes.
JDBC template.
It will be update only, or will be the query for object?
Ramal Patel from Harish. Hey, hi. So you need to, yeah, params, and that's all. We're not expecting any return statement, right? We are expecting an integer.
Yes, and it will be only update, or it will be query for object?
No, it's just update.
Update only, right?
It's just update. Okay, we got n-value as well, right?
Yes, it is updated.
So there was some issue with that statement, the statement,
Yes.
not prepared statement, prepared statement. So anyway, whenever you are passing some parameters, so whatever you did, that works. It doesn't mean that it doesn't work, but the problem here is you need to follow the coding conventions, right? You need to use the object.
Yes.
Parameters. So that's a better way of doing it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So anybody has any other questions, concerns about anything? If you have any issues, please share your screens. We'll fix it right now.
Harish, I have one question. Like, we are going to learn the microservices as well, right?
We are going to learn the microservices. There is a very small difference between REST service and a microservice. I'll speak about that.
Actually, I have gone some tutorials about the microservices, and I have done one POC.
Okay, cool.
But while building with the Docker something, like then I was having issue, or while implementing the security, I was having the issues.
So you mean the HTTP?
That is why I was. No, it was about JWT. Okay.
Oh, it was about JWT. Okay.
Yes.
So you are aware about JWT, right? What is JWT and how to use it?
Yes.
Cool. We will anyway. There is a need for JWT. We'll
Actually,
talk.
I don't know. I mean, it may be for a rapid session maybe, then we can cover all those things. But we need to cover all those things, right?
Yeah, there is a Spring Security which I'll be talking about tomorrow, and we will be finishing the JPA as well. JPA, I cannot tell it is very easy thing, because again based on the, again it is completely based on the annotations, guys. So I'll explain what exactly is the annotation, why we need that annotation. I'll explain in the very layman words. Please try to understand, and we'll see how it goes from there. Like there will be some multiple mappings, many to one, many to many, one to many. I'll try to give an example, and we'll see. We'll implement a microservice. Sorry, for now we'll implement REST service, and then we can implement microservice as well.
Okay.
By using Hibernate JPA and JWT. But before going to JWT, I need to show you how Spring Security works first.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
But just I was concerned about, like, we are having this week only. I mean, week not the sense in the week. We are having only 4 days up now.
Yes. So if you guys have patience, I can speak about give an introduction about JPA, and we can quickly do that tomorrow. The implementation. But I thought, like, so many guys don't know JUnit test cases, so I've been explaining about JUnit test cases. So I thought maybe it'll be too much for you guys to take on single day.
Harish, I have one question on Mockito.
Okay.
So the question is, we are using Mockito.when, right, to mock the methods which we have written in the service layer.
Yes.
So can we mock the database connections, or else prepare statements?
You can mock anything. For that purpose, I used API, right? API service, right? So you can use JDBC template.
Okay. I mean, for example, in that method, whatever we have mocked, right? In that method, for example, if we are connecting to the database and passing a query to get the result set, right?
Yes.
So there, I mean, instead of doing that operation, whenever a prepare statement or execute query is being called, right? There, instead of executing the original, well, can we mock that one and pass a result set of our own in this test case?
You can do that. That's what. So here, let me share it. Share my screen. For some reason, our test cases are misbehaving today, so I'll fix it anyway. But here, so I specified this mock, right? So at that point of time, what you have to do is @mock, and in our, if you observe our behavior, yes.
Harish, one question. Can you go to this method which you are mocking in this get by license and username thing?
Right over here.
Oh, sorry, not that one. Not that one, which was failing, right, for us?
That one.
Yeah, this one.
So I'm marking that actually. So, but to answer to your question, basically, I'm trying to explain here. So you can use @mock private JDBC template. Okay, like that, because we are using JDBC template and JDBC template. Come on, JDBC template. It's just a name, template. Okay, and you can use this Mockito, for example, Mockito.when. So instead of this API service, JDBC, what is the name of that Mockito I used here? JDBC template. Dot something like, let's say, query for list or query for object, anything. QUERY query for list, let's say, and my SQL, you need to pass SQL here, whatever select asterisk from, let's say truck details, okay, and then we need to specify then return. So what is it is expected of a list, right? So you need to return a list. You can construct your own list, or you can just return a new array list based on your requirements again, like that.
Okay, Harish, thank you.
Yeah, you can mark any object. So there is no restriction on marking. You can mark a JDBC template. You can mark a repository as well. You can mark a service as well. So you can mark anything.
One more question, Harish. The JDBC template which you have mocked, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, inside this method, get details by license method, inside that method, I am declaring a connection, driver manager, and
here. Okay.
Okay. Inside this method, I am connection. I'm establishing the connection, and I'm not auto wiring anything inside this service.
Okay.
In
You are doing it
API
manually.
service. Yes, right.
So by taking
If
from
you
the
are
properties
doing
file
that,
and you are creating a JDBC connection.
yes, right.
Okay.
If we are doing that inside this method itself, then also if we mock in the test case, it will work, right?
It will work at that point of time. The way you mark should be different.
Okay.
So how it is, let's say for example, I'm going to create, but that is a very bad practice. Nobody will do that. You have to, that is a concept of dependency injection, which we have been speaking about. You should not, what you call this, hard code the variables here. It is always supposed to be somebody else should be injecting into that. For example, IOC should be injecting into that, right? But anyway, if you do that, you can, the marking will be different at that point of time. So for example, let's say there is a private, let's say, anyway, even though if you hard code it here, you will be going with a private variable, right? Or public variable, anything like this, JDBC template, TMPLATE template, spelling mistake, JDBC template, JDBC template, and there will be a method, something like public, or it's just a void create JDBC connection, right? So on the code here to connect everything. At that point of time, what you have to do is you will be marking this, right? So after marking, you may have to inject it into this manually because you are not auto wiring it. Are you understanding my point?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Bindu.
Yes, Harish. Yes.
So here you are not auto wiring, right? So auto wire means
Yes.
IOC will take care of everything. No, you need to inject it manually to that method somehow, right? At that point of time, your class will be able to take the mocked objects.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Let me clear the thing what I wrote here. Yep. So any other questions, guys? Okay. If you guys have patience, if you guys can listen, because as Shahan told, we may have to cover Spring security as well, and we have to cover Docker as well, because there is in this session we have to cover Docker as well. It was not implemented, but it's they mentioned like I need to speak about Docker, how Dockers work, and anyway, I'll try to show how a Docker works, and I'll try to show how, if time permits, how we can deploy everything in Docker. So if you guys have time, patience, if you guys are able to understand, if you guys are in a position to understand, I can start with JPA. Just to an introduction, guys. That's all. What do you say? What do you guys say?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, how
Yes,
about others?
Harish.
Because we have some freshers here who.
Yes, Harish.
So everything is good. Okay, we'll speak about JPA then. So first, guys, how many of you guys know ORM? Any object relational mapping stuff? Anything? So let me clear this out. Where is it? New file. New. So how many of you guys know the ORM? What is object relational mapping? And how many of you know worked with Hibernate or anything? Just for my understanding, guys, where I have to start with and just at what level I have to explain.
Yeah, Harish. I worked with Hibernate.
Cool. If you work with Hibernate, JPA is similar to Hibernate. There is nothing,
Yes.
but in fact, it will come with one extra layer. There is an implementation of a repository design pattern. I'll speak about that anyway.
Yeah.
So others.
Yes, Harish, I also work with mapping.
Perfect. Ramal Patel worked with Hibernate and others. So they never work with Hibernate. Okay. Let me tell you what is Hibernate. Hibernate is object relational mapping. So what is object relational mapping? It is just like extra layer, okay, which will come in between our Java and our database and map these things. So you will be talking with ORM, the Hibernate. Hibernate will be talking with the database. Let me put it in a picture here. Why is not coming picture? So that is our DAO layer, and this is our Hibernate, and this is our database. Okay, this is our database. Okay, now in ORM, this will be, we will be talking with this, and this will be talking to our database. Our database will be responding, and we'll be responding with to our DAO layer. So let me write the DAOs here. DAO, basically ORM. This is ORM, and this is our DB. Right. For that purpose, we have different kinds of frameworks. Example, Hibernate, this is very famous, and there is a framework provided by Eclipse as well, Eclipse Foundation. Right. So what exactly is ORM? How it maps our classes, our class objects into DB objects, right? For that purpose, there is a concept called entities. What is an entity? Basically, this is nothing but an exact POJO object, pure Java object. If you remember what is my POJO definition. So that will be mapped to exactly to DB data. That means your name of the class will be mapped to the name of the table. Of course, if it is not mapping, also there is different annotations, but it's a layman explanation how it has to be for a fresher who don't know what is ORM. Okay, right. So the name should be the same name in the database, and the column names will be same column names in the database. That's how it's going to map, right? So any questions on that, guys? Any questions, concerns? I know we can change the table name, we can change the column name, but I'll speak about that. But just to start with, what is ORM and why, how it works? Just to start with, just to give an example. So any questions on that? Okay, let me talk with an example. Let me take one example here. For example, let me go to our beans. Okay, here, let's say I can make this as an entity. All I have to do is specify at the rate entity annotation. Okay, from there I can make this as entity. That's all I need to do, right? Again, in layman terminology, this class name will be mapped to table name, okay, in your database, and this strings, whatever string, integer, long, data type, whatever it is, it will be mapped to the column names. That is object relational mapping. That's what I'm speaking about from that time. Any questions, any concerns, any connections, corrections? Okay, cool. Now what is the use of JPA? Why we need JPA? Why can't we use object relational mapping? First of all, what is the use of object relational mapping? Right. If you observe our DAO layer properly, let me go here. So we are manually writing our queries and mapping this to our class names. I mean, like objects, right? Whenever I'm selecting, manually writing this result set extractor, I'm doing so much of boilerplate code. So isn't it good if we have some framework which will do that for me, for us, to avoid this kind of unnecessary code, right? Now that is called object relational mapping. All you have to do is specify which object is connected to which object. That means which table is connected to which table and how it has to retrieve the data. It will do that for you. You don't have to manually write this query. In fact, sometimes you may have to. That depends on your requirement, and it is feasible to write your own query also. We'll speak about that later. But I'm speaking about the advantages. So this is the major advantage. That's why we go with the ORM. At the same time, there are some drawbacks. Okay, what are the drawbacks? As the complexity increases, let's say I have like hundreds of mappings, right? Hundreds of tables. As the complexity increases, it is very hard for the if you speak in the performance perspective view. My bad, guys. Performance perspective view. It is not that great until unless you do appropriate mappings. That is one of the drawback. And for a developer, debugging is really difficult. Okay, you don't know what is happening because it's under the hood. It will use HQL. I'm speaking about Hibernate again. It's a query language again, native query language. So there is a problem. These are the major problems, right? Now, why can't we use the existing framework? Why do we have to go for JPA? Right. Let's see. So JPA is one more layer here again, apart from this, on top of this ORM, for better understanding. So what did they come up with? Why we have to go with JPA? So what they are doing is they will be using the same exact annotations and everything, whatever we deal with in ORM. Apart from that, they came up with this repository concept. Repository. This is the implementation of repository factory pattern method, or basically repository pattern method. That is one of the design pattern method. So what it will do is it will take care of the CRUD operations for us. So we don't have to write anything, literally zero code. All you have to specify is specify this repository. It will do everything for you. Okay, until unless you specify specific query for it. Otherwise, it will do all the CRUD operations like insert, update, delete, retrieve, everything for you. So this is one of the extra feature which we'll get out of Spring JPA. So any questions, guys? This is I'm not speaking entirely about like the implementation perspective view. I'm only speaking about like what are the advantages, what we'll gain out of JPA. That's all. Right. Any questions, any concerns, any corrections? Okay, let's quickly see how we can what are the major annotations which we will be using. Okay, and let's quickly see a simple service which will be connected to DAO. I mean like repository. Okay, for that purpose I'll be creating one more starter.project. Ah, crap. Why are you not loading up today? Okay. Spring starter.io. Okay, I'll go with 2.3.7. I don't want more than that. I'll go with com.truck. I'll go with JPA truck. JPA project. And I'll be using Java 8. Let's add Spring Web. Let's add Spring Data JPA. Spring Data JPA. Let's add, what else we need? Oh, I don't need anything. Data JPA, MySQL connector. We will be dealing with MySQL. So MySQL, what else? Auth to client, I don't need auth to client. Perfect. Okay, for now, let's add these things. And in case if we need more, we can add anytime in the dependencies. Create low ones. Join folder. Okay. Control X. Let me go to Spring Boot training projects. Extractor here. What did I name after? JPA truck. Perfect. So I'm going to import everything. Existing mount projects. Okay, I need to browse it. Okay, desktop, Spring Boot training projects, JPA truck. Perfect. Finish. It's taking time to import the projects because it will be downloading the dependencies at the first time.
Hi Rish, in real time, what we will be using, like it is recommended to use JPA or what?
Guys,
Because
if you ever work on the let's say before JPA, the ORM, very famous ORM is Hibernate. Okay, I still see some of the projects still running on Hibernate. If there was any new development after this JPA revolution, that will be in Spring JPA. So did I answer your question?
Yeah.
So new development, basically it is recommended that they will be using JPA because under the hood, it will still be using the ORM technology itself, right? Still using that. But with this extra added layer, we will be getting more benefit. That is basically by using this repositories. You don't have to write any code, literally zero code. I'll show you that how and why it is so popular. And if there is any issues, again guys, if there is any issue, Spring is backed by huge community. They'll be fixed in no time, like literally no time. Okay, now let's see JPA truck. As usual, we have this. Now I'm going to create. Okay, why do create? I'll just copy paste these things here. Let's say I need a truck beans. Let's copy paste these things here. Guys, we are not dealing with XML anymore, so I'm going to remove the annotations related to XML. I just wanted to show you guys how we'll respond to different message formats. In fact, you can respond in the HTML format as well. So no restrictions in REST. There are no restrictions. For now, I'll remove these as well. Come on, why are you struggling today? Okay. Okay, not empty. I don't want this. Not null. I don't want this. Details. Okay. Now, how can I make it an entity? Very simple, guys. All you have to do is @entity. Did I include Hibernate? I don't need Hibernate. It's actually entity.javax persistence. Guys, don't go with the Hibernate annotations again. There is a Hibernate annotation. There is a persistent annotation. I'm telling you again, JPA is a top layer on top of Hibernate. I mean, like on top of ORM technology. The same concept will be used behind the hood. So we need to use javax.persistence API like that. And everything will become columns, but remember, every table will come with a primary key. How can I generate a primary key? There are simple things. If it is not auto generated, you can specify. In our case, I specified this as our primary key, so that's all. ID that makes the primary key. And if you want to generate auto generate, so there will be a feature called generated. Okay, it's again JavaX annotation. Well, okay, what is this? Data. No, generated. What is the type? Let me have a quick look. Generated value. That is generated value. I need to use this. That means if you are using a sequence, for example, if you are dealing with Oracle database, we don't have auto increment value. There you have to go with the sequence. So you can specify the sequence here, but in our case, we are going with MySQL, right? So it has auto increment. So for that purpose, we need to specify strategy equal to generate type dot auto. So sequence is sequence here. Again, Oracle has sequences. There is no auto increment concept. Sequence is something which will be incrementing whenever you insert something with the data. So you have to get a sequence number and then insert into your table, the other table, and then you have to insert everything else. Okay, again, increment the sequence, get it. For that purpose, we'll be using sequences. But in our case, we are going with MySQL, right? So you can go with auto or identity. That's up to you. I'm going to with auto, which means auto increment. But here, truck license is not auto incremented, guys. Truck license is not auto incremented or not auto generated, not auto identified. For that, I don't need that here. I just showed you how we can generate that. It is something which we are inserting. So all I need to do is specify it as a primary key, and that's all. And again, guys, if my table name is not exactly the same table, the entity name here. So for that purpose, I need to use @table. There is an annotation table JavaX persistence. So name equals. You can specify my truck underscore master, I guess. Right. Let's have a quick look at the master table. Truck underscore details. It's not master. Since it is not truck details as it is. Okay. Similarly, for these column names, you can use appropriate column names. Like, for example, VIN underscore number, truck underscore model, truck underscore license, model, year, previous owner, total kilometer, is underscore all maintained completed. So you need to use these. We cannot map as it is. And if you want to provide a name for your entity, for example, when you are dealing with joins, you may need this entity name. So for that purpose, I'll be dealing with this. For now, I'm going to name equal to, you can specify like this. So exactly same name, but camel case. Like that. Now, how can I specify column? Simply specify column, 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 and the name of the column which you're going to actually represent in the database. Something like VIN underscore number. There is a column if you observe our database properly. So VIN underscore number, truck underscore license, model, like that. Any questions on that, guys? So even for this, column. If the persons who ever work with Hibernate, these are the exactly same annotations, but javax dot persistence dot and whatever the annotation name we are using here. Truck underscore license license. Okay. At the same time, I can go with the column 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 name equal to model column column equal to year. Let's me check the previous owner, previous underscore owner. COLUMN REVIOUS underscore OWNER. Any questions on this, guys? Why I've been typing everything? Because I explained about column, that's why I'm without speaking, I'm typing everything. Assuming that everybody knows what is column. Total underscore kilometer. Okay. The red column. Name equal to, what is my name here? Is all underscore maintenance completed. Let me copy that. I can't copy. I am assuming it is the same spelling, which I didn't mess it up. And that's all, guys. Now my entity is ready. So any questions on this? I didn't specify any mapping here. I'll speak about the mappings, but it's just a plain entity. That's all. Now my entity is ready to map with my database table. Any questions on that, guys? Okay, no questions. Let's quickly create a repository for this. New. It's an okay. I need to go to package. Segregating com dot truck dot repo repositories. Pardon my spellings again, guys. repositories repositories. Okay. Now, how can I create a repository? Just interface. What's my repository name? Basically, I'll name it after my entity. So, truck details, capital D, repository, truck details repository. Perfect. It is going to implement, there is an interface called as JPA. So we are going to extend that interface. And JPA is internally JPA already extended this pagination and also the CURD repositories. So CURD will have the methods to get the details from the database, and the pagination will have the paging. We'll speak about the pagination in some time, but not right now. Okay. Okay. JPA repository like that. Finish. And here, guys, we need to provide what kind of repository is it. I mean, what kind of table it has to deal with, and what is a primary key. Okay, here we are dealing with truck details. Here we are dealing with my primary key is string. If you remember properly, it is of type string here. This is my primary key, guys. So that's why I specified that. And that's all. I'm ready to do CURD operations. Let's quickly see that. Okay, I'm going to copy paste the same APIs here. Truck API. That's okay. There will be service required. Where is my service? So I'll go to service. I'll copy paste these two services here. And for our understanding purpose, I don't need this. Do I need the service? No, this is for web application. I don't need that service. So I just implemented this API service, and now let's quickly see. I truck DAO. I don't need DAOs. Do I need DAOs here, guys? I'm not dealing with DAOs. What I have to do is, let me remove this, and let me remove all these methods. Right, now I will be dealing with a repository instead of DAO. Repository is nothing but similar to DAO, but in data access objects, you will be accessing the database. Similarly with the repository, you will be accessing the database. But here, you are not going to write any kind of code to get the data from database and get the data from database and convert into Java objects and send it over to front end. No, we are not going to do that here. So we are not going to write any kind of code. Okay, let's see how can do that. All I have to do is auto wire, or I can, there is other way I wanted to show you guys. Okay, first let me declare a repository private, 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 and my repository is truck details repository, truck details repository, API service. I'm going to construct. All right. This dot truck details repository equal to truck details repository, and that's all. My IOC will handle all these injections and everything. I'm not auto wiring, I'm not doing anything. So at the time of loading this API service itself, it will be in a position to handle this truck repository. It will be in a position to handle this truck repository object. Okay, it will take that. Now, why is it throwing an error? There are some iTruck DAO, I don't need that. Right. Let's see, search API is throwing error. For now, let's deal with only one method, guys. Okay, I'm not going for a list of classes here. I'm just commenting, guys. We will, I'm not deleting it as it is. We will be using the same method names. Okay, same methods, same implementation, everything is same. But with DAO, since with repository, since I implemented only truck repository, so we'll deal with only truck. Okay, now I need to get a truck license. I need to get it by truck license, API service dot truck license. Let's implement that. Okay, now how can I do that? Truck license simple dot find. Okay, here is the thing, you can find by ID, or if you want to write your custom query, you can do that. Okay, ID is always the primary key, but here for a better understanding, I'm going to write a simple method to show you guys how we can write custom methods for you. If you observe properly, there are some predefined methods which we can use. Basically, find all will retrieve all the information from the database with the truck details, right? So here, if you go back to here, we'll get all this information. We'll get all this information, right? So that is find all. Now, what else I have? Find all, if you pass whatever the object, based on that, it will take. Basically, here it will be, we can pass a pagination object as well, okay, for paging. And then you can pass sorting object, it will sort, and based on that, it will give find by ID, that is basically unique ID. You can pass multiple IDs here. So that is the primary keys. Based on that, it will give list of trucks. Okay, but what I really interested is find by ID. Okay, like that. And I'll be passing this truck license. And that's all. Optional. Because sometimes my truck may present, may not present. Right. That's why I'm my repository is written in an optional method. Sorry, optional of truck details. And that's all. Guys, did I write any kind of query here? How will my repository knows that it has to search based on a particular ID? Based on, in our case, how will our repository knows that it has to search based on this license plate number? Right. That is a advantage of repositories. Here, if you observe properly, you have been specifying all the information related to that. How? Find, that means select, okay, search, by, based on what? Based on my ID. My ID is always primary key. If you go back to our entity, I specified ID here. So which means search based on truck license, and the name of the column is this one. So my JBA will pick truck underscore license when it is querying the database. Now I'm back to that API service here. Right, I'm passing the input. So it will take this input. So my query will be something like this. Select everything from find by ID, right? Select everything from truck details. Truck underscore details. That is, we specified the table name, truck underscore details. where find by ID. Again, it will go and look up in the entity. The ID is truck underscore license LICENSE equal to question mark. That will be the constructed query behind the screens. So it will work like that. So you don't have to explicitly specify the query, right? In some cases, here it is okay. I may have to find by VIN number. How can I do that? Simply go to your repository here. All you have to do is optional repeat. Okay, optional is not like that. OPTIONAL optional of truck details, because it is going to return truck details, right? How can I construct? Find by my column name. Come here. What is my column name? VIN number, and that's all. And it will accept a string. Basically, you need to pass a string here, string string VIN number, spelling mistake, number, and that's all, guys. Now I can use this query to get. I can use this method to get a truck based on VIN number, right? But how will my repository knows that I have to find only based on VIN number, right? Here you are providing all the information required for this repository to work. First, we specified already it is of type truck details, right? So it will pick the entity from truck details. So it knows which table it has to query. Now you are specifying find means select, and by that means condition on what column. So something like select asset from, right? Truck table, truck details. Where this is by is where on what VIN number. It will go back to our entity again. What is the column over there for VIN number? It's VIN underscore number equal to question mark. The question mark which we are passing these details. Okay. Any questions, guys? We are not implementing any kind of query here. I'm not implementing any kind of code here. But my behind the screens, my repository will do that for me. I don't have to do anything. Any questions, guys? Did I went too fast? Anyway, I will be implementing this one microservice, one REST service tomorrow for better understanding purpose.
No, it is clear, Harish.
How about others? The persons who doesn't work on ORM, because the persons who have experience with ORM, it is just an extra top layer because they will be using the entity manager to create the queries for them. But here we are not doing that. I know that it's very easy to understand for the persons who has a background experience of ORM, but the freshers, guys, freshers are the persons who never worked on this ORM concepts. I guess I gave a very basic information. I mean, like in the layman terminology, I've been explaining everything, how it works. But if you guys didn't understand, please let me know. I'll try to give some more information, maybe in a better way. Guys, suggestions, doubts, questions? Because I heard only saying that they know ORM from Ramlal Patel and Shahan. How about others? Did you guys get it? Because I'm not going to write any of query here, guys. Again, I'm not going to write any query to understand. This is my method, the method which will give me the result. I'll be using these methods. That's all. Okay. Cool. So that means I can take no. Here I will be getting optional. That's all. Now here I may have to do some changes to this optional of nullable truck details dot is present. So it is already optional. I don't have to do anything that the here optional dot is present. So dot get, that's all. Now it will work, but I need to establish a connection. and I need to fix these errors because I copy pasted some of them. So for now, just comment everything. So any questions, guys? And we'll be seeing this execution tomorrow anyway because it's already 2:30. I don't want to eat up your time also. But you guys understood what is JPA, right?
Right.
No, other persons.
Yes, Harish.
Thank you. So how about the other guys like Shrisha, Bindu, Prabhakar, Kaleem?
Understood, Harish.
Yeah, you guys understood, right? Kaleem, is it clear?
Yes, Harish.
Thank you. Kaleem, is it clear? Or do you need some more explanation on that? Okay, he's not with us, I guess. Cool, no problem. Anyway, tomorrow we'll see the flow. I guess that will help us to understand better about the JPA. Okay. For now, I'll let you guys go, and we'll speak about JPA again tomorrow. JPA and Spring Security, a bit of Spring Security. Sure, guys. Any questions? Any concerns? Any questions before I let you guys go?
No, Harish, not from my side.
It is clear.
Okay, sure, guys. Thank you, and we'll be speaking about this again tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Harish.
Yep. Okay. Bye.